Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Legal Platform. My name is Sadiq Ademuyiwa, and I am your host for today's episode. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing on the challenges faced by young lawyers in Nigeria. And on today's program, we have Barrister Sadiq Ademuyiwa, who together with him, we are going to be discussing on this important topic. You are welcome to the platform, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm most grateful.
Before we delve into the topic of discussion, we would like our host to properly introduce himself to the audience.
I'm Sadiq Ademuyiwa. I'm from Osun State.
Okay.
Born and brought up in Niger State. I'm an active member of NYC and I was called to the Nigerian Bar on the 27th July 2022. It's a pleasure that I'm here today.
So, you're welcome to the platform, sir. Today's topic is very important because it affects every young lawyer on the streets of Nigeria that is geared towards staying in the legal profession and also uplifting his bar within the legal practice, within the realm of the legal practice in Nigeria. And today's topic is particularly interesting because our guest today is also a young lawyer. So we would like to start with a very important question, which many Nigerians don't know. Who is a legal practitioner?
A legal practitioner by law is someone that attended a course at the university that studied law and was called to the Nigerian Bar. So either way, it could be in any form. We have people that have studied abroad that have also come to practice in our country, because the discussion is specifically on the strength of the practice in Nigeria. When you're talking about a legal practitioner in Nigeria, it's someone that has been called to the Nigerian Bar officially. I think that is a very light and direct definition of legal practitioner in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, by extension, who is a young lawyer?
Wow. On my own submission of understanding, it could be far from what people will say, because we can quantify that by age of practice. You understand?
That's interesting.
Yes, by age of practice. What I mean by age of practice is maybe when you are called, how many years post-call? Presumably, 5 years downward, you understand, is the general acceptable
years that a person can be called a young lawyer. So from 6 years and above, you have started attaining, let's say, maturity or puberty
in the practice. You understand? And until when you get to 10 years and above, there are some privileges I cannot be able to claim. You understand my point?
As a young lawyer.
Even if you have a lot of record that can put you in that requirement basis.
I understand. That's right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And it's interesting to know that a young lawyer is 5 years below.
Yes.
But let's get to know this. Is studying law difficult in itself? Because once you tell somebody you're a lawyer today, the first thing you say, wow, that's the first time, wow, you really tried. So how difficult is it? Academic-wise, financial-wise, strength-wise, mentally, how stressful is it?
Generally, you understand, studying in Nigeria, I will use that as my point of discussion. Because me being a young lawyer, you understand, I've not been privileged to travel out of the country. I studied in Nigeria, you understand my point. I did all my activities of the practice in Nigeria. You understand? So now I always speak on light experience to justify my own concepts. Different from the view of any other person. I'm talking about the difficulties.
Now, how difficult is it?
It's really not easy. It's really not easy to become a lawyer in Nigeria, especially when you don't have the background as expected. So that's why I say, if I'm speaking on this particular fact, I will not deviate my concept from myself. I'm trying to use it as the understanding I have.
Fine. From your own perspective, how difficult is it?
It's really difficult.
How?
Very difficult, because looking at the time you have to study, you understand my points? Looking at the time you have to prepare for exam, especially when you are in law school, you understand my point? It's not as sufficient as you could expect it to be. It requires a lot of management of time. Time management. So it's very crucial. So it's not something that is easy going to that lane. You get my point? You face a lot of challenges of what to do, how to do. You understand my point? When you're asked questions, how to present your questions, how to answer, because you might be speaking on the ground of where you you are right. You understand? But at the end of the day,
the marking scheme will
tell you no, and you keep wondering what could have been the problem.
Yes, and in view of the fact that the legal landscape itself is full of argument, and you perceive things differently.
Yes. That is the concept of interpretation of what you understand. So it's difficult as a lawyer. It's difficult to become a lawyer and ascertain.
What about the financial aspect of becoming a lawyer?
You know, I thank God you're also a lawyer. That question is like bouncing back to all of us.
Yeah.
The financial implication, I can't really say, because some of us have that the privilege of grace.
Yeah.
You understand my point?
Yeah.
But the condition of how you need to spend, you understand my point, especially when you're in law school, is being structured. That you cannot do some things to ease your spending. You have to just do it as required. And when you're in law school, it is believed that you cannot do some things in the hostel.
You can't cook.
You can cook.
You can't iron.
You can iron.
So you have to pay for all these things.
You have to pay for all these things. You understand? So the struggle each and every one of us encounter is a different struggle to speak of.
Okay, that's interesting. Now that you are a young lawyer, and I believe you are one, and a vibrant one for that matter, what are some of the challenges that young lawyers face in practice in Nigeria?
There are a lot of challenges we face as young lawyers.
Let's have them.
And let me start from the fact that we need to go through some mentorship processes to be able to understand the differences of having it in theoretical understanding and putting it in practical.
Okay.
Because even right back in school, most of the lecturer will tell you categorically that what you are saying in the book
is different.
It's obviously different from the practice outside, which is true to the extent of the fact that who have been privileged to work with, because it is advised that once you are done with your law school, you need to go through this tutelage
with senior colleagues.
With senior colleagues. I know a lot of senior lawyers will really tell you how to avoid they've passed through to get to where they are. They'll guide you on the patience you need to follow. You understand my point? But the question is, are you really getting the tutelage as expected from those senior lawyers? For me, I would say to some extent it is biased.
Some senior lawyers are biased, or what?
To a large extent.
On what they give you?
Yes, on what they give you and the offer. Because the senior lawyer will tell you, you need to learn. You understand my point? You forget about making money. You get my point?
We are coming to that.
Yes,
we are coming to that. Because there are this argument that senior lawyers will always tell you, forget about the get rich quick syndrome as a lawyer, as a young lawyer, forget about getting money. But I believe there is this oversight on the aspect of you have to make your transport fare to the office, your lights, your rent, especially if you're not staying in Abuja or you're not staying in Lagos, and maybe
the cost of living where you are practicing matters a lot.
The feeding responsibilities and all that.
You understand my point? Because you cannot claim to be a lawyer in a family. You understand? And still go back to the door of your father and be asking him for something.
Exactly.
You understand? And the courage most lawyers always tell you is you need to sit down, you need to learn.
So in synopsis, are you trying to say that the remuneration or the stipend of salaries of young lawyers are very low?
Very, very, very low, to a point that I will assume that is like you bidding up for what you know you want to achieve, and someone is discouraging you from the efforts you are putting to achieve that.
That's tough.
That's a very serious truth. It is an expression of concern at these circumstances. Because I've been privileged to work with a lot of senior lawyers, even if I did not spend much time with them. And I have my experiences, although we are coming to that if questions will be given in that circumstance. But some of the challenges, you understand, is the should I say, aside from the offer, you understand?
Okay.
We have lawyers that are pretensive and concerned.
Okay.
You understand my point? When I mean pretensive and concerned is, they will advise, are you getting my point? Not on the ground of the fact that this is what is actually effective on the claim of their clients.
Like let's just say they will advise not the truth of the case.
Very well, because
just to have the benefit.
Just to have the benefits in cure. You understand my point? Like even because it is believed that as a lawyer, you defend the good, you defend the bad,
and the ugly.
And you defend the ugly.
So you're trying to say some lawyers are not, they have young lawyers, but the rate at which they put them on the right track pertains to the brief they collect.
Yes.
And how they advise,
yes.
irrespective of the amount involved,
yes.
is not encouraging at all.
It's not encouraging at all. Because as a lawyer, you understand, you are privileged to see the law on a specific direction. You understand my point? And when the client comes to you, we should know the kind of country we are. You understand my point? Anybody that is paying you big to defend you, I get my point. You just have to do it by all means.
Whether you are right or you are wrong.
Yes.
Whether he is right or he's wrong.
Yes.
He just wants you to defend him.
He just wants you to defend him.
And some senior lawyers will take it and do it.
And do it.
Even though they know that.
Yes, even if there's no strength. Like, ordinarily, you're supposed to advise your client on the strength and weakness of his case first. You understand my point? And now, the rule says, the rules of professional conduct, you understand my point? Like, you cannot represent your client out of his interests. You understand my point? But you advise him properly on the concern of the issue. A lot of matters to me, look at it from the civil angle that goes to court, are matters that are not supposed to be in the system.
Okay, thank you for that opinion. Now, what's your view? There are times as a young lawyer, you have a matter in court, and you go as early as 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's
a young lawyer comes, a senior lawyer comes in, and he just comes 8:45. The court sits by 9.
Yeah.
You have been sitting all. Maybe if you're unfortunate someday, all of them will be senior lawyers, and they'll say they want to call their case out of turn.
Yeah.
Legally speaking and professionally, sorry.
Yes, it is a privilege.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege.
But what's your opinion on that?
My opinion, just like it's stated, you understand my point. The privilege is limited. It's not as if maybe you're having a matter that's not for hearing. You understand my point? Because the concern is, if you have a matter for mention, you can call out of turn.
For senior lawyers.
For senior lawyers.
But if it is for hearing.
If it's for hearing, is there any clear rules that says if it's for hearing, a senior lawyer matters move on first?
No, I think it's a matter of custom. Some courts allow it.
Yes, it's a matter of custom. But the question is this:
some courts will usually have a cost list where they do it based on seniority.
Very well. Will
you advise we adopt that?
I won't dispute.
Or you will say, okay, it should be based on first come, first serve. But if you don't have a contentious matter as a senior, you can call it out of turn.
Very well. Sometimes there are matters that don't go on in courts.
Yeah.
You understand? Some matters might be for report of settlement.
Yes.
You get my point? Some matters might be for an adjournment. You get my point? I get it. Now, it is not a crime when a lawyer is in court. And
a young or a senior?
Either young or senior, but let me put it in the range of understanding. When a senior lawyer is in court, you understand my point? There's a grace of learning for a young lawyer. You understand? Which means if it is like that, I get it, it should not be abused to the detriment of the service of the young lawyer himself.
Some young lawyers have argued that sometimes they do that for the junior lawyers to learn. Because if they call their case out of turn, a senior lawyer will, the way he would dramatize his case, a young lawyer will learn out of it.
That is the point I just raised on the concern of neutrality of interest.
Okay.
When I mean neutrality of interest is on the fact that the practice is a continued process.
You
understand my point? Me as a person, if I'm in court for a matter, you understand, I don't really jump protocol. There are times that I will meet young lawyers in court. You understand my point? Because I enjoyed watching senior lawyers making presentation. I get to my point. At least there's no how you will not get exposed in that circumstances. So it's an added advantage to a young lawyer. You understand my point? But what I'm saying is there are some circumstances, you understand, that matter of going on, like maybe a senior lawyer have a case in court, you understand, and the case will go for a while.
Exactly.
You get my point? And as a young lawyer, you report back to your office and you have other things to do. You understand my point? You get bored and tired of the system at that circumstances. Those are personal feelings.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are ways to look into it.
Exactly.
You understand? Which means the senior lawyers too should encourage young lawyers with concern of interest.
You are very.
So that is just
okay. Aside from these challenges you have mentioned, what other challenges? From your own personal experience?
Yes. Wow, is the attitude of the registrars and courts.
Okay.
You understand my point?
Towards young lawyers,
and I had a lot of experience of such. When there are some payments we make in courts, you understand my point, which are not official.
Yeah.
You understand? But for you to get what you want, You understand my point?
Yeah.
You need to like at least appreciate the efforts. Let me use that word, appreciate the effort of some of the registrars in courts. You understand? You understand my point?
Yeah.
And now, if what you're offering them, for instance, let's say to transmit record for enforcement, something you can do as a young lawyer, for instance, you apply for record of, when you get a judgment, for instance, you want to enforce it, you make an application, you understand my point, for enforcement, for a certificate to copy of the judgment, something you can pick if it's a magistrate court and take to enforcement units. But because maybe if you have other activities, you will need the service of the registrar who on his own has a lot of jobs on his desk. You understand my point? At least help you follow up and transmit that record. You understand my point?
Yeah.
Because that stuff is privilege of understanding. But if you are paying him and the senior lawyer comes and offers him, he will even leave your job and take your file and be going around for the senior lawyers in court. It's discouraging. And these are things that young lawyers encounter in courts.
Okay.
These are personal experiences.
Okay.
You understand my point? You understand? And it weakens the mind of young lawyer that feels I've gotten the judgment and I need to enforce it.
And it's taking forever.
And it's taking forever
for it to be enforced.
For it to be enforced.
Okay.
Those challenges, I don't think most senior lawyers have it because they have it at the back of the core.
Yeah, but some will argue that it was because they were patient enough to reach that stage.
Very well. That is part of the movement of life. You understand? But when you talk about patience, I get him, it is necessary. But it has its weakness and its strengths.
Yeah.
When you are privileged to get a brief as a young lawyer, because the assumption to most people is how many years experience you have
as a young lawyer.
As a young lawyer. You understand my point? What can you do for us as a young lawyer? So you don't even get privileged to even get briefs that will make you feel, yes, you are making a research, you're trying to prove the integrity of the law.
You're right.
You understand my point?
Yeah.
You understand my point?
So I think we are almost coming to the end of the program.
Very well.
There are just 2 questions remaining. Or maybe 3.
Very well.
Now, the next question maybe our viewers will be interested in. Why is it that in Nigeria, you hardly see a young lawyer, like I just come out of law school and he opens his law firm? Or he goes 2-3 years into practice, he hardly opens his law firm. Even some lawyers of 10 years post-call, they find it difficult to open a law firm. What are some of these issues that are hindering them from opening a law firm?
First, I would say loyalty, which is necessary to grow on my own circumstances.
Okay.
You know, when you're working for some senior lawyers, I get to my point, you are treated as a family.
Okay.
You are not excluded from benefiting in the sacrifice and efforts you put in briefs and issues that handle. You understand my point?
Yes.
A lot of bigger firms, you understand, as a senior advocate, let's say you have 2 senior advocates in a law firm, you have briefs in all 36 states, you understand. You're required to have teams of lawyers under you. And those lawyers are people that you feel have grown to some extent and you're still together with them. You understand my point? But there's liberty of concern to me. And that is subject to the understanding you have with those senior lawyers. You understand my point?
I understand.
And once you decide to take any step out of what you're doing for them, it becomes an issue beyond what you can even say.
Control.
You get my point?
That's true. Now, you have listed a basket of challenges.
On the submission of
what are the suggestions
that you have? Very well.
3 to 4 of them, if you have.
First is for every young lawyer to have this mind of liberation.
Mind of liberation. I love that.
I have a mind of liberation. I have a mind of settling concern, following the perspective of your own integrity in the practice. Sometimes it is not how fast, it is not how slow. You understand? It is how well. Me being a Muslim, you understand my point? I cannot be judgmental on every other person's grace in practice. You understand my point? But what we stand for as lawyers are absolutely different.
Okay.
There's this mentality that young lawyers have, and I'm very sure it's not an error. You get my point? Like, service of integrity towards what you want for yourself. Service of integrity towards what you want for yourself. You understand my point? So I feel it should be on the interest of justice most times if you're advising your clients.
Okay, now, what will you suggest with regards to how the MBA, I want to bring the MBA into the picture. do you think the MBA can regulate how young lawyers should be paid in a law firm?
Very well. You being a member of an association, you should enjoy this familyhood, which means as a lawyer, when you cannot cry, you understand my point, by yourself, you understand, over a challenge, and you're a family of an association, you understand my point, because MBA is divided in branches. You get my point? Now, me being a member of MBA branch, now Unity Bar, for instance, having a challenge in CSC towards accreditation of what ordinarily I've done, following the rules and guidelines on my own simple concern, and up to now, I've not gotten approval. You understand my point?
Yes.
Ordinarily, I should be able to take such matters to MBA, to the branch where I am. Because what is the concern of the dues I pay? What are the services in return of being a member of MBA? You understand my point?
Yeah.
How well and how far, you understand, lawyers individually are carried along. Not on the fact that his dad is a senior advocate, his uncle is a senior advocate, you understand my point? His father is this, his mother is this. The privilege of the fact that you were called on grounds of grace, it is your performance. And you should be able to contest in interest of such performance. You understand my point? And credibility of what you can do, you understand, should be the concern.
Okay. What other suggestions do you have?
There are a lot of suggestions to me.
Okay.
We're just doing it right.
Yes.
Because everybody knows what is right. I would leave that solution as an open question.
No. I think the audience will want to know your suggestions as well.
My suggestion is there should be reasonable protection of young lawyers. I've seen circumstances where a lawyer will go to the police station on his right of expression. Somebody that has not been privileged to even understand what is Section 36 of the Constitution will be telling him, do you know how many years I've been practicing as a police officer? You don't teach me my job. When there's an alliance of understanding that when you have a client at the station, it is the right of that lawyer, to partake on the interview on silence of concern, to know what those people are doing. But because you are a young lawyer, you'll be intimidated. I don't allow myself to force out.
Yes, I think I have my own. No, mine is not an intimidation.
I have not fought that victim. I have a recent matter. Okay. You understand? This matter is absolutely a civil one.
Okay.
The transaction of loan interest between somebody, you understand my point? And it happens in a place like Niger State. I cannot imagine that out of influence, I get my point, such matter will be transferred or will be like hearing, I don't know, will be hijacked from Niger State to one local place here in, what's his name, Pagi. You understand my point? And the police officer will be overriding the interest of a client that has not committed any criminal offense. Nothing related to crime.
That will be another topic for another day.
No, those are issues.
But I think the issue of lawyers being to some extent being intimidated in the police station.
Sometimes the attitude of the lawyers. I wouldn't discredit that. Some lawyers are very bossy and aggressive. That's my point.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I'm not accusing the police of wrongdoings. You understand my point? But an average sense of concern. You understand my point? We know you being a police officer, you are rendering service to the state.
Yeah.
And now rendering service to the state is of individual interest sometimes. And that is the setting of the country to a large extent. I'm not disputing that I know one, but I'm saying maybe I know two. You get my point?
Yeah.
But we know the injustice in the system. You understand my point? The concern is senior lawyers with the breach of their grace. You understand my point? As wide as open as it is, I get to my point. They should be able to use as a cover to encourage young lawyers in such circumstances.
Yes, but in fairness to them, some of them do.
Some of them do. I was privileged to be a mentee under J.K. Gazama.
Some of
you understand?
Them, yeah.
I am not going to speak far from what I don't know. But to some extent, you understand my point, I learned a lot from him, and I saw his commitment towards encouraging young lawyers.
That's brilliant.
You understand my point? So that I can speak of, nothing more. You understand?
Okay.
To a large extent.
Yes. So on the final note,
yes, sir.
On the final note, what are your final thoughts on the topic?
Very well.
In 1 minute.
my surprise was like, why would you even think of giving me that topic to discuss at first instance? But when you even informed me of that, I was just wondering, so let me see what I can do. But I think it's something we really need to put strength on.
Okay, what is it?
Like and giving the struggle less stress for young lawyers. You understand my point?
Yeah.
Allowing the system to have this reckoning of the fact that this is what you can offer and you can be encouraged on that particular grace. You get my point? So now because it is young getting old, and when you get old and you get older, you need people that are crawling from the downwards to get to where you are. You understand my point?
Yeah.
So for the profession to be stable and have balance of continuation, you understand my point? Then they should be focused
on young lawyers.
On young lawyers.
Thank you so much. Barrister Sadiq Ademuyiwa said there should be focus on the young lawyers by the senior lawyers, and I know some of the senior lawyers
are very much
doing their best towards that, but there needs to be more focus and effort towards making the young lawyers more vibrant and more focused. Thank you so much for your time. I'm your host, Sani Saad Bunza. Don't forget to join us on our next episode, and don't forget to also follow us on our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for your time, Pastor.
Thank you for the privilege.
Yeah, welcome.
God bless you, sir.